Okay, I am out. No more messing around. I have had that quest for God knows how long. We are. What the hell is that? Hi there, it's me, and I'm here to tell you about that charity event that I've been mentioning off and on over the past few months. It's finally going to be happening on Monday the 17th of March, and we're going to be raising money for Cancer Research UK. The reason I've chosen Cancer Research UK is because within the last couple of years, cancer has hit a little bit close to home. It's had an effect on my circle of friends, and it's also currently having an effect on my wife's family. And also because, just fuck cancer. To raise money for Cancer Research UK, I am planning on playing Papers, Please for 24 hours, which is something I actually did over 10 years ago during another charity stream. So what will I be doing this time round that was different from the last time I played Papers, Please for 24 hours? Well, this time, after I finish streaming it for 24 hours, I'll take a little break and then I will continue to stream it based on how much money has been raised so far and other little fun things that will happen throughout the stream, which you all have an impact on. So I plan to start the stream at 8 PM GMT, that's about midday Pacific American time, 3 PM Eastern, 9 PM Central European, something like that, 8 PM GMT, Google it. I plan on hoping to raise at least $50. However, I've got little things that can be happening depending on little milestones that we reach throughout the stream. So if I just bring up this here, so $50, we spin the wheel. I'll show you what that is in a moment. At $100, I'll give a game away, like Papers, Please, for example. $150, I'll spin the wheel again. $200, makeover stream with Sammy, so my wife will give me a makeover live on stream at some point. $250 again, spin the wheel. Another game giveaway, Enshrouded for Everwinter, who knows. If it keeps on going upwards, I'll think of some more. If you've got any suggestions, please let me know. But just to show you what the spin the wheel is, so I got this idea from my friend Mike. He showed me this website. So it's basically a wheel of challenges. So it could be something like count to 1,000, eat a chili, swap hands for the mouse and keyboard, flip my camera upside down, put chat on emotes only for 10 minutes, give out free card packs. That's for the Streamloots card packs. If you don't know what they are, they're basically interactive cards that you can play and it will have an effect on what happens on the stream. So there'll be some cards that will add time on to the timer to extend the duration of the stream, as well as also giving me things to do within the game that I'm playing. So yeah, that's should be interesting. Again, if you've got any ideas for either things to do with certain goals or things to add to the wheel, let me know and I might just add them in. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll be talking more about this event, no doubt, during my streams over the next couple of weeks and also in the Discord. If you've not already joined the Discord, please feel free to do so. There should be a link in the description below this video. And yeah, I hope to see you on March 17th, even if it's just to stop by to say hi. Thanks for watching. Hello, I'm back. So yeah, charity stream on a week on Monday, 17th of March. Holy crap. I should really do a bit more work for that. Right, anyway, we are going to be watching the dev Q&A now. Hi there. It would help if I actually pressed the right buttons. It's usually a good idea, Mike. There we go. Right, okay. Things that I hope they talk about, other than the usual. I did notice that Evangelist had posted a question, so I hope that his question gets asked. It was about specifically, it was about running a hardcore game mode, because I know he does things like that on his channel. I really need to ask him about that. Get it set up for me to do. That was a very disconcerting hello. Aren't all my hellos disconcerting? Right. So yeah, I hope to see Evangelist's question get asked about a hardcore core mode or any other. Not that I can recall. You just obviously haven't heard me say hello in quite a while. What else? Enemy AI, but they talked about that in the last Q&A. I suppose the big one for me that I hope gets asked is about the next update. Any tidbits of what we'll be getting? When will it be? When will it happen? Anyway, let's just get on with this and see what they discuss.
More multi-map quests, like connecting the dots. Always have to start with, I absolutely love what you have created so far and I've been playing every day. There is no game like the Forever Winter and this is the best community ever. Will we see more quests that require you to visit multiple maps to complete? You always say the game needs to be more difficult and I 100% agree. Having missions that require, for example, going to map A to find an item, extracting it, and bringing it to map B would be a great challenge and engage players with longer quest lines. By the way, the secret lockbox is really not findable in Scorched Enclave, right? Or have we just not figured it out yet?
So this was actually a question that I wanted to ask during the last Q&A, because I love the multi-map quest that they are referencing here with the secret lockbox, which doesn't spawn on Scorched Enclave, but I really love that idea. So please fix it. Add more.
That might be a Jeff question. Yeah, go for it, dude.
The last one first. It is there. It is not in the same place every time you go in. I can't tell you where it is because it's not even markup. There's a system in there that makes sure it's in the right spot, and that's different depending on a whole bunch of variables. But I guarantee you it exists, and it's in the play space.
Definitely.
Okay. I genuinely thought that quest wasn't there and that the lockbox didn't spawn in. I hadn't heard anything different from that. I don't think I've seen footage or heard of anybody finding that lockbox, so that's interesting.
Also, I completely agree with you. We do have the coolest community in the fucking world, and I love you guys. And also, yeah, no, dude, the multi map quest structure, 100% in the cards. If anything, that's actually one of our next pushes after this next update comes out in a couple days.
Oh,
yeah. Spoiler, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, so there's going to be a bunch of really, really cool shit in there. But yeah, that's going to be one of like a big focus. So like, for example, like for me, like the dream is basically like if you disable something here or you take someone out, in this map, then like it will affect some of the unit spawns in the next map, and then we basically have like a lot of really cool synergy between some of these components. And actually, we're looking at ways of doing that potentially real time as well. So I don't want to give away too much on like some of the meta updates, but it's gonna be fucking sick. And it's absolutely been on the list for a long time. Honestly, for years, actually.
Yeah.
But I could attest to that. So it's definitely something that we'll get rocking. What I didn't want it to be is like, I don't know, find the fucking map and then find 12 screws and then find like, someone's head and then super glue them together, and then we'll give you like a cosmetic. Like, that's fucking stupid in my mind. Like, it feels very much like, I don't know, like Winker, like fetch quest territory there, and it's just trying to pad your time. I really wanted it to be like, okay, like, this is some major shit you're doing in one map affects the other map, and so you can basically participate in the active battlefield, but in ways that aren't just like, kill 500 soldiers and Europa will not spawn here anymore. Like, that's just, it's not the game we're making, right? So
Thank God.
that was the big one. And sorry, Jeff, like you probably dig in more detail.
I just want to jump in here. First of all, news on an update in the next few days. Brilliant. Second of all, them talking about quests that affect things either on the map you're on or on another map. They already have one thing like that in the game. It's the where you destroy the European mech in the mech trenches. It means the next time you spawn into the Elephant Mausoleum, there will be no mechs. So there is already stuff like that in, but to have a lot more like that in, very excited to see. And then him talking about how he doesn't want them to just be like fetch quests. I completely agree with that. However, then why are we still collecting so many cigarettes for Lodos?
I mean, I could. I don't want to do any spoilers. The last thing I'll say is like we're approaching like the meta in a whole bunch of multi-pronged efforts, and that's going to be a big push as we move forward. Like Miles said, I'll tell you anecdotally, the release that's coming out soon, which I could say because Miles already spilled the beans. I won't tell you what happened, but Matt, you sent an image of someone goes, "Holy crap, they can do that," which is part of the meta. I won't tell you what happened. You'll find out soon. But there are consequences. That aperture is growing, and apparently the tester really enjoyed what happened to them.
New burst transmissions. The burst transmissions we already have are genuine masterpieces. Can we have some more? Burst transmissions would definitely be a great way to introduce units to new players or new units in general. Just an idea.
Absolutely. It's definitely something we love as well, especially on the art team. And we're cranking on one right now that I think you guys are going to really dig, that explores one of the factions we haven't dug into as much. So that's as much of a spoiler on that. The biggest challenge, honestly, is basically we have a small animation team, and so the same animators that are working on fixing a lot of the jank and the bullshit that you guys have seen so far has actually been the same team that's working on some of those shorts as well. And so it's really just robbing from Peter to pay Paul. I know I've said that a million times. You guys are probably sick of hearing it. We are planning on exploring, a couple options on maybe, adding a little bit more firepower there. But yeah, we'll roll out a couple of those ideas to you guys in the future. But for now, we very much agree. There's just definitely a lot of very specific units that need more love. And but I also feel that way like some of the updates are like to some of the units AI as well. So there's a lot of shit that we're grinding on, but some of that will be out to you guys really shortly. So really appreciate that you guys love it. I love it as well. Like that's why we do them. It's just since we're doing them ourselves, it's like we're always operating under some pretty severe restrictions, and so we can only world build and support the game.
More world building is always welcome.
Some of the gaps and some of the early access issues as well at the pace that we can, right? But I mean that's a good thing, right? It's I'm just really glad you guys appreciate them as much as we do.
Giving another shot at this post because I'm really curious. So in one of the trailers, you saw the exosuits kill 2 stalkers. Is that something they will be able to do in game eventually, or was that just for show? Also, will the movement of the exosuits change at some point so that they don't glide around?
Probably yes to both. We're actually looking at some of the interactions with some of the larger units and more the interactions between each other. Again, it's the animation bandwidth issue, which is we can put more firepower into that, but then it's going to take away energy somewhere else, right? And so one of the big ones is we wanted to react to a lot of the community feedback and obviously some of the highly requested features as well. And we're actually working on another video to address a very specific mechanic that's super contentious. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking gnarly. But yeah. It's basically like the Exos have like some like root motion issues, like with like feed IK and shit like that. And yeah, I mean it's definitely on the list. But some of the moves that they're gonna be doing in the future are also going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. So we'll probably be in Hawken territory, which is motherfuckers glide through shit occasionally, and that's life. Such is life. Like when a Titanfall mech clips through a fucking building, it's like, well, yeah, that happens. You know, it's always the balancing act. But fuck it, you know, we'll clean up what we can clean up, and we'll keep going.
Yeah, that also could be a network issue depending. I'm not looking at your screen when you say they glide, but that's possible depending on where the host is and where you are and all sorts of things. But yeah, we'll take a look.
Can we please continue progressing character stats beyond Prestige 25? It feels a bit disappointing reaching Prestige 26 just to realize our scav hasn't changed a thing in terms of health points. Will you guys finally unlock character?
2 seconds. Sorry, let me just rewind to the start of this question again.
Host is and where you are and all sorts of things. But yeah, we'll take a look.
Can we please continue progressing character stats beyond Prestige 25? It feels a bit disappointing reaching Prestige 26 just to realize our scav hasn't changed a thing in terms of health points. Will you guys finally unlock character progression from 26 to 50?
I'm
Thank
sure
you,
this will
and keep up
come
the great
along.
work.
Yeah, when the
Short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Part of the reason the Prestige was raised is Gunhead has so many skills because of its weapons expertise
Yep.
that the 25 cap didn't let the player min max. I didn't know how quick someone could do that. I knew somebody would. And yeah, I don't want those to just be empty buckets. We've talked about skills in previous, like that's something that I want to give a lot of love and firepower to. So yeah, absolutely.
Robots should use tools to return life.
Yes.
There are so many toolkits in the game. They should be used for the
Agreed.
robot to regain health.
Like
It's too
Gunhead.
difficult for the robot to play without regaining health.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, you're speaking specifically about Gunhead. See,
Yep.
I was thinking we could take what you said and use it in the most painful context possible, which is you have repair drones, like some of the shit we did in Hawken, and they come around and they fix some of the mechs that you're damaging just to like butcher you, which is where I would go. So I would take your comment literally and apply it there. So I love this idea. We should totally fucking do it. Practical sense, yeah, for Gunhead, yeah, it makes sense that like repair kits could be applicable. It's definitely something that we were exploring. I don't know when we'll get to it, but it's definitely something we could fuck around with for sure. Like
hope so.
I was even cool with it being like the self repair thing, you know, back from Knockin' days as well. That shit was dope. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool, interesting stuff. We just want to make sure that there's at least a mini game associated with it beyond just press B. Like maybe it's like support scavs, like one of your homies can actually like apply the med kit or something while you're in like shutdown mode or whatever. Like there could be some.
I actually said that during a stream when talking about Gunhead and his healing abilities. Have it so that, yeah, you can use the repair kits on him, but you can't apply them yourself as Gunhead. Have it so a teammate has to do it for you.
Some interesting stuff there. I don't really envision like the fucking welding torch on the tank's ass in Battlefield where you got like 3 people stacked behind Gunhead and they're just like, please don't kill me. Like that's stupid. So I'm thinking there's got to be a balancing act in that. But you know, we can brainstorm it, and you know, we can shoot the idea out to you guys. So if you guys have like some cool ideas, definitely feel free to send them our way, and we'll fuck around with them and see what we can do. Right?
Will there be random Battlefield events that reward players/squads for participating in them? Instead of only watching battles for pure spectacle or just a hazard, will there be a random event to go alongside it, such as a heavily guarded European, Eurasian, Euruscan water thief supply convoy full of loot has appeared, a scat thief has been spotted?
Yes. Not only yes, but we actually just brought on one of my buddies from Gorilla who recently got laid off. So he's on the fucking case. And also, yeah, I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of those opportunities. If anything, I think actually the like if the chopper goes down, I think there's also like some types of events like that. But yeah, absolutely. Like that was actually how we were thinking of integrating some of like the more like ambient units, you know, like some of the roach bots could be like resupplying like, you know, Europa dudes, you know, like on the front lines and shit like that. So there's all sorts of cool stuff that we have planned on that front.
Yes.
And it's again like animation bandwidth like a motherfucker. Like we have to make it look right. So like functionally, like it could be like cool, like Big Mac crashes here, cargo containers fly out, but it's not really there if it's every single fucking time you see that event happen, the cargo containers are in the same place, right? Like, so really want to make sure that it's actually like a systemic solution that really feels organic for you guys than just some scripted bullshit. But that's just me. Like, maybe people are okay with the train crashing in the same spot every single fucking time. I hate that, but maybe people are cool with that. Like, I don't think so. So we have a little bit more work to do. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
People are cool with that. People are cool with that for various numbers before they finally like, okay, I've seen this. You know, some people are 1, some people are 50.
Yeah, like I love the Normandy invasion sequence as much as the next guy, but when you're in the landing craft, every fucking start of every fucking mission on that map, it's not going to capture the thing that you want it to capture, right? Because it's really exciting the first couple times, but like, geez, can you imagine if Dead Space just spammed you with the same enemy for like 3 hours, dude? Like, come on, that's absurd.
No kidding.
So yeah, it's definitely on the horizon for sure. Yeah, we're looking forward to diving into that very specifically. I know I am.
Completely
Yeah, for sure. I actually even think like the HKs are like the very first just pinky toe dip in the water on that kind of variety. It'll get so much cooler and so much more, so many more implications than just like juggernauts, like Berserk happy faces coming after you.
Exactly.
Oh, now I want to play Berserk.
This next one is from Kilpo. Are there plans for more maps than what we currently see in the region's space?
Absolutely. Kilpo, we love you, dude. And yeah, absolutely. That's definitely in the cards. It's honestly like it's the same shit we said at the start, right? Which is like, as long as there's support and love for the game, like we're gonna fucking make cool stuff, right? So, you know, and if anything, that's where like, if you know we ever get some free time, which is never gonna happen, then you know we might be able to fuck around more with like mod tools so that you guys can contribute like new quests and you know help us build this bitch out, you know, even more.
Shit.
Right? So yes. Short answer, absolutely. Longer answer, yeah. I mean, you know, it's whatever what was ever in the RNG, you know, God's cards, right? But yeah, I mean, we'll definitely make sure there's more maps that are in there. It's an interesting challenge too, because I also feel like we might need to have like a revolver change on like a whole new map section with new sectors, because it's getting a little packed from like a graphic design standpoint. Like it kind of makes me want to like just throw up a little bit sometimes, the idea of filling that with even more shit. But in a practical sense, yeah, we'll figure it out. These are good problems to have.
Yeah, absolutely. You could zoom in or something like that. Well, I don't want to brainstorm it now, but there's stuff you could do.
I found myself enjoying the platforming in this game with the pneumatic jump. Are there any plans to include alternate navigation routes that might require movement skills such as jumping? For example, on Frozen Swamp, there are numerous platforms, though unreachable. That would be a nice way to circumnavigate the water in combat on the ground, with the hazard of falling being death.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny. So this is kind of like a split personality, like struggle, at least internally, right? Because like, it's funny. I was just having this argument with one of our colleagues where they're just like, it's not a fucking platforming game, man. And I was like, dude, but like the opportunity is there for like some of the more insane maps, like whether that's like, you know, like.
It's true. Like I remember before I took a break playing the game, a few weeks ago, I was on a run through Ashen Mesa, and I had the jetpack on, and I was just thinking, I wonder where I could reach. And I ended up getting to like the top crow's nest antenna area of one of the large European landships. That I couldn't get any higher, but like there was no other way up there. The only way I managed to get up there was through jumping using the jetpack. So yeah, having unreachable areas. I mean, I suppose there already are things like that, because you've got the buildings which can only be accessed with the drill. So to have things that can only be accessed with a jump pack, or with explosives, or you know, God knows, maybe like you can fit the robot mule with an excavator, and you know, it can dig down through something. That would be cool.
like dealing with verticality, or whether that's dealing with like impossible to reach areas that have like, you know, different sectors, right? Like, yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity there. We just haven't been able to explore it effectively enough for us to be like really happy with it, like beyond like rough prototype, right? So that's the big challenge. But yeah, for sure. Like there's a very specific upcoming map where there's very specific applications for that tool to get you to places that have loot. So yeah, I'll keep it vague and high level and cryptic like that. But yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say even in Frozen, Ludo shows me areas with pneumatic
100%.
that I'm like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
I remember playing with Ludo JP and a playtest in Frozen, and we went up to an area Ludo wanted to go, and JP's like, I guess I better light it over here. And we're like laughing, and I was like, maybe you shouldn't. It's really cool to use flashlights up here. Once you get up here, you feel really clever, and it looks awesome.
100%.
Are there any plans for procedurally generated maps? For example, exploring a
God, I hope
labyrinthian
not.
dungeon made
Oh.
by corrupted 3D printing bots.
I think there are elements that could be like RNG or procedurally generated like variables, like map modifiers for sure. I actually personally don't really like the completely procedural generation component, because you're essentially feeding assets into like an RNG machine, and the RNG machines are getting better, and there's a lot of AI application for a lot of this stuff that can streamline it, but it's just, I don't know, like I feel like it takes a lot of the soul out of the map in some ways, and you just get a bunch of like, it's kind of like you know, like good horde mode versus bad horde mode. There's like some horde mode is like, this is fucking awesome, like this map feels really crafted and really fresh and you can play it over and over again. And then bad horde mode is like, this is a multiplayer map that somebody jammed bots into and hoped for the best, and you're choke pointed near the fucking spawn point in a corner with like a bunch of M60s, and you're just sitting next to the ammo box. Like, I mean, some people like walls of dog shit. I don't personally. So like, I'm just trying to avoid those types of scenarios as long as we can. Like, it seems like there's a lot more procedural generation just across the board in the industry. And personally, like, I take the Darkness or Escape from Butcher Bay or the Wolfenstein games from our homies at what used to be Starbreeze and Machine Games. I don't know where the fuck any of those cats are now. Hopefully they're doing well, but I take that over like, we have a giant sandbox. Like, no, it's a tough one. This personal philosophy shit. I will say that there is a very specific section of our game that could benefit from that very specific type of experience. So like, one of the things that we're basically playing with in terms of like the lore is the navigation of the tunnel network under the mega cities, right? And of course you see part of that in the underground, but like that to me with some RNG could be really interesting. And there's really a couple ways to approach it. It's whether we do like, you know, 6 to 10 maps that are just like revolvers where it just picks one of those at random, kind of like the in Payday 2 when the fucking SWAT guys intercept and you're just like, you're either in front of the bank or somewhere else, and then you're just pulling from a revolver. I think that's pretty sick, but it's a lot of manual work on our part, so who the fuck knows when that's actually going to get done, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But on the flip side, RNG there could be cool, so I don't know.
No, that's super cool. I think like to do like an authentic version of what I think you're talking about for the levels, you'd have to essentially make a tile set of hallways and T's and cross sections and elevation, and build a system that's smart enough. It's either smart enough to know you can always get to an extraction, or we don't care, sometimes you get screwed. And that takes, it sounds awesome because now we can have a bunch of different levels, but the last thing I'd want to do is put a bunch of work in there to get kind of the same looking thing, but you turn left sometimes instead of right. I would much rather make something bespoke and awesome. So it's not impossible, but it actually takes a lot of foundational work to make something like that sing. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Ascent team did like a fucking monumental job on that. Like, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. But they also had a lot of really, really nice, like bespoke, crafted, like awesome Blade Runner-esque stuff in there, right? So there was definitely a decent amount of love poured into that. And if anything, I feel like we would probably need to like double the amount of assets that we have just in that specific like sector and biome to get something like really, really interesting. And then I mean, theoretically too, like it could be cool as well if it is true RNG, that it's just like blame, then like, yeah, a lot of these hallways go to fucking nothing, just 5,000 kilometer drop. Like, I guess you just can't get through here. You're fucked. Like, I'm cool with dead ends. Like, I'm cool with dead ends if you guys are cool with dead ends, because like I'm completely good with that. That actually sounds like a blast. And maybe that's the RNG. It's like the printers just keep printing the fucking floor, and it's like, well, this path, you have a couple branching paths, and one of them leads to death, and now you got a grabber crawling up the fucking pipe that's coming after you. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I didn't make it happen, so you can't blame us for any of the bad things, right?
I hope that with all the maps they stick to, bespoke. So unwinnable situations are okay for the dev. Absolutely. Like in this game, I am absolutely fine with the occasionally, not often, but occasionally there being some sort of unwinnable situation. And I like the idea when it comes to like randomly generated maps for it to be specifically kept to like almost like a separate game mode, or like this one separate map where, for example, it is just completely underground and it's a labyrinth of tunnels that have been created by the AI just burrowing through and printing out different corridors aimlessly because it's forgotten its purpose for doing that. Hey, grab a spawn of the extraction room, have fun. Exactly. Why not? Why not? I'm not saying it happens all the time, but sure, absolutely. Why not have that? In some cases, it's all. There are moments that are almost like that. You take a underground cemetery, for example. You've got that grabber pretty much right there at the spawn location, and you've got to wait for it to move away before you can proceed into the level. So yeah, have that flipped. Why not?
Neverwinter Winchester Mystery House Edition.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could be cool for sure.
Is there supposed to be an end game? If so, conceptually, what does that look like to you? Is it roguelite, where you start again on a new run, or is it much more open-ended like Tarkov, giving you quests to do, but generally relying upon the motivation of the player?
I always lean on motivation of the player. I think that's hopefully where we all are, for the reason that we play games in the first place. So philosophically, I'm definitely there, but there is a specific end game that we do have in mind. I'm not spoiling shit.
Okay.
We're probably about half a year out from something like that. But it's more just down to like, it has more to do with the world building than any other component. So I guess that can be enough of a spoiler. But yeah, I mean, we're exploring a lot of cool shit, but I want the player to be able to interact with, like, our world has a lot of different levels, and like it has hierarchies even within the factions, and I want that to start trickling through as we start building out more sections, more quests, more characters, more quest givers. And that's an area where I feel like it's really exciting. So I would like that to tie into it, which I know is like
anything that's lore building.
I guess you could call it RPG-ish, but it's not a fucking RPG. It's more just to say that, like, there are more interesting ways to interact with some of the world, and I want to explore that. And I want to make those options open for the player.
Please.
But if you just want to fuck around and collect gear, I want that scav experience to be like, pretty solid, at any level of engagement, right? Because some of the higher tier stuff is going to be fucking really challenging. It's going to require a lot of teamwork and a lot of collecting resources and making sure that you were like hit it out very specifically for a very specific run. And like, yeah, there's a very iconic structure in a lot of our cinematics, and you can see it in some of the maps, and that's definitely something that we want to explore for sure. And what's living, on the top floor of that. Yeah. Ooh. So I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. I mean, I had some real good luck with the Hunter Killer once on Ashen, with a medium mech spawned as we crossed the bridge, so it just looked sad on the other side. Yeah, exactly. That would be like the Labs in Tarkov. I've never played Tarkov, so I wouldn't 100% know, but I is he sort of hinting at almost like end game boss type? I mean, although I suppose like we already have the Rat King, we already have Toothy, we've got the Mother Courages, we're yet to see Big Green. So there are already sort of things that are like that randomly spawn in, but to have a sort of big bad, that'd be interesting. The medium mechs also kept spawning, so in the end there were like 10 waiting us. Jeez, 10 medium mechs, bloody hell. Carnage, absolute carnage. I would love to have seen that. But yeah, I wonder if we'll. Did he mention something? Like there was something that you can see on a number of the maps already. Hang on.
That's an area where I feel like it's really exciting. So I would like that to tie into it, which I know is like a little bit more, I don't know, I guess you could call it RPG-ish, but it's not a fucking RPG. It's more just to say that like there are more interesting ways to interact with some of the world, and I want to explore that and want to make those options open for the player. But if you just want to fuck around and collect gear, I want that scav experience to be like, you know, pretty solid, you know, at any level of engagement, right? Because some of the higher tier stuff is going to be fucking really challenging. It's going to require a lot of teamwork and a lot of collecting resources and making sure that you were like hit it out very specifically for a very specific run. And like, yeah, there's a very iconic structure in a lot of our cinematics, and you can.
There's a very iconic structure in a lot of our cinematics.
See it in some of the maps.
You can see it in some of the maps.
And that's definitely something that we want to explore for sure. And what's living, you know, on the top floor.
And what's living on the top floor of it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of what that could be. I'm trying to remember what the cinematics have been like. There's that one big. There's like a big tower block. Well, there's a few big like tower block type skyscrapers that you can see on a lot of maps in the background. Like you can see it from Scorched Enclave and Ashen Mesa. I wonder if that's what they're talking about, but if it's also in the cinematics, I'll need to go back and look through some of them now. You spawn camp the cyborgs on the top floor for the right. The doors on underground are already RNG. Yes, but yeah, so like there's that level of RNG where are the doors going to work or not? Is there going to be loot spawning in this location or not? Is there going to be a set of enemies spawning in this location or not? But also just the complete layout of the map being completely RNG. So, you know, does this tunnel turn left or right, or are there two options? Is there a locked door here? Footage of Stairway Gate looks pretty high up. True. Very true. And I remember in one of Rilo's vids when he said he'd been invited to hi Evangelist, by the way. I've got my fingers crossed that your question gets asked in this Q&A. But let's see. But yeah, in Rilo's vid he mentioned the Stairway Gate map being, oh, what was he said? Did he just describe it as like absolutely huge? And I can't remember now. But yeah. Anyway.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Any chance we could see some footage of the old full sim build of the game? In one of the Q&As before 2024 ended, Miles mentioned that there was a build of the game where you pressed go and it ran as a full sim, playing almost like an RTS. Is there a possibility we could see some footage of what that build looked like and how a full sim battle would have played out?
Be interesting.
I'm wondering if we might have anything available on the full sim gameplay. Miles seemed pretty stoked about trying to bring some of that back, and now I'm genuinely curious what that experience was like.
If you ran like the Armageddon mod in fucking Dawn of War, that's essentially what that experience looks like, which is a shit ton of units just beating the fuck out of each other.
Nice.
Right? Like, so that would be like the snarky asshole answer, right? But it is essentially that, right? If you literally just go into Gary's mod and hit play with a metric fuck ton of combined arms units, tanks, medium X, striders, infantry, you get a lot of that, which is sick. The balancing act is, of course, we had reinforcement systems and a bunch of other cool stuff that kind of like fed that battlefield like dynamically, which I love, and we're going to bring some of that back. And that's actually shit. That was part of the conversation this week in terms of digging back into some of those mechanics. So I'm really excited on that front. But it's essentially that. Like I can dig up some older videos probably, and like sort of like our archives, and maybe we can load up an old build. But like, it's not a build that like, I mean, you need like two 4090s hooked up to like a car battery, you know, to get it to do exactly what it's supposed to do. And that's honestly, that's game dev in a fucking nutshell, right? Which is you get to work on the sickest prototype in the history of video games, and then you get to gut it, and then you get to get it to run on the Xbox Series S, and then you're like, there was the dream that was Rome, and it's fucking what it is now, and we're kind of sort of happy with it. Like, I don't know, like that's like a super cynical old man take on it, but it's essentially that, right? Which is, yeah, if you want to know what it looks like, go back and play Dawn of War. It's fucking awesome. I highly recommend it. Go back and play Company of Heroes. In fact, go back and play any fucking Relic game except the most recent ones. I love you guys. Homeworld 3, Dawn of War 3, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, whatever. I'm not touching that one.
Oh boy.
Company of Heroes 2, Dawn of War 2, Steam sale. Have a good time. You're not going to regret it. Those games are masterpieces.
Boy.
Honestly, the first Dawn of War trilogy is fucking amazing too. Like,
yes.
Very good shit. Can't wait to play Tempest Rising. But at the core, it's basically a bunch of combined armed units beating the fuck out of each other in simulation.
Yeah. Another thing is, even if we dug it up, like,
was 3 bad? So, I didn't play 3. I was going to, like, I was a huge Dawn of War fan, huge 40k fan. I was going to be buying Dawn of War 3. Luckily, though, everybody I know who's in a similar boat to me as loving the Dawn of War games and being huge 40k fans, they bought and played Dawn of War 3, and it wasn't great. They were trying to cater to too many fan bases. So Dawn of War 1 and Dawn, like, I'm going to assume you've played the first 2 Dawn of War games. They're both good, but they also have their differences. There are some people who prefer the way Dawn of War 1 is, some people who prefer the way Dawn of War 2 is. So they tried to cater towards both those audiences and threw into the mix a sort of almost MOBA-like gameplay element to it. So it ended up being this Frankenstein-like monster of an RTS meets a MOBA, whilst also alienating the fan base of the original first 2 games. And it sort of died to death because of that. And because that tanked so badly, it sort of destroyed the whole RTS genre. Like, what other RTSs have you heard of since? There was Age of Empires 4. That's pretty much it. So yeah, it did not go down well. Like, they stopped supporting the game very quickly. There was no, I don't think they did any DLC for it or any expansion. There was no expansion for Dawn of War 3, definitely, but I don't even think they did any DLC. And when you consider the amount of expansions and DLC they did for the previous two games, I think that goes to show you just how badly Dawn of 3 did. But oh man, getting back on topic, I would love to see some old builds of the game. And what he was saying about what game development is, you build the dream game and then you strip all the parts away so that it can actually run and work. Part of that is the core philosophy in a way, because wasn't a lot of the ideas from like For Forever Winter from the fact that you see lots of concept art and then the game never turns out to be like that? But they kind of want that to be what the Forever Winter's all about. So I'm hoping it's not too stripped back from their original idea, at least.
Like there was a couple different levels called Red versus Blue, where we would take one unit, just throw red and blue materials on them so you know if they were Eurasians or Europans or Euruscans, and just ran sim, which is dev talk for watch it play versus playing it. It was ugly as sin because it was engineers and designers, not really good artists, because we were just proving out the systems. And it also, like Miles said, like when I would run it here, you could see the lights in Chicago dim across the entire city about 10% because it was like, you know, and then like probably the circuit breakers in my basement caught fire. Like, yeah, there was no way. And that was before networking was even a dream. You know what I mean? Like if you tried to replicate that over a network, yeah, would have cried uncle. So that's part of the reason you're not looking at it right now. But Miles is right. There's a bunch of efforts to see what it could be. It's just that old stuff that you want to see would be ugly in seconds per frame.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny actually. I think Rilo captured some of it, like the V formations and the squads, like rocking and rolling. Like I think we have like some earlier builds that.
Yeah, we have some of that too. Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, I mean, it was more just making sure that it's like a consistent blender versus it being like, okay, determinate spawns. Like even something as baseline as like, okay, this is running a real-time simulation, but for people that are spread around the map, that also becomes a challenge. So like, for example, the people that are in like the Golden Path are going to see the Titanfall intro sequence that they always wanted. And then the person that's like over by the fucking, you know, mammoth tank, basically over in, you know, the far corner of like the right side of action, is going to see the butts of tanks and some smoke. Right.
Yep.
So if your CPU is literally melting because all you're seeing is some smoke in the distance, like we failed. Right. But if you see like a Black Hawk crash and spew out a bunch of Europa guys that are on fire, then it's like mission success, right? So that's essentially the balance, right? And that was actually why we leaned into it. It was perf considerations. And speaking of motherfucking perf, hopefully it's considerably better for a lot of you guys. Everybody has unique cards. Everybody has, you know, different variables. So who knows for some people, but continue to reach out. And, you know, like I said, the team's on it. So, you know, we'll try to dig into it as much as we can.
Hunting trophies? These trophies would be parts of an enemy kept by the scav and attached/hung somewhere on their rig or weapon. Kind of like bot killer weapons in Team Fortress 2 or using an enemy's faceplate as a shoulder ornament in Warframe.
I like that.
They could influence how troops act in your presence on the battlefield, alter reputation gains and losses, or even be the quest/trade items to bring back the innards.
Before they go on with this question and everything, like I know there's no character customization. Like when you like you don't create a character, you just choose which character, and their appearance is randomly generated because you're supposed to be a random scav. I love that, but I would like some character customization then after the fact. So, you know, I could choose to dye the jacket that I'm wearing a different colour. I could choose a different mask for Shaman or Maskman, different hairstyle. But only after the fact, and then if that scav dies, you then lose that look. I would love that. I would absolutely love to be able to at least change something, like have the option to choose something about your appearance other than having it completely randomly generated.
It would also look pretty rad. And as a soldier from one of the factions, would you want to mess with a scab that has a grabber sensor dangling from his rig?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely on the list. We were actually thinking of like having that as types of trophy ornaments that could be displayed in the innards as well, and a couple unique features that we haven't really seen before as well that are unique to FW. So yeah, there's definitely stuff planned with that for sure. Because I feel like
Such teasers.
I mean, everybody wants a human skin mask at
Such
some point,
teasers.
right? So yeah,
I already have one.
Texas Chainsaw
I
for life,
mean-
I guess. Anyway, yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be fun.
This team has created a very grim and unique
I'm
world.
wearing it right
I'm sure
now.
many people would love to have some of the characters and monsters on their desks, and one of the most accessible ways would be through 3D printing. Not to mention, this could be an excellent way to draw additional interest in the game and to grow our community. Please make it happen. My wallet is ready.
Oh, that definitely. No, it's so on the list. It's not even funny. And actually, yeah, a lot of our guys worked at like, we worked as freelancers for like Sideshow back in the day. So yeah, definitely, it's on the list. Absolutely. Kind of had mixed feelings when I saw people kind of trying to take our low res models through like an asset ripper and then printing that in like the fan art channel. It's like, I appreciate the sentiment and like that's cool. Those are the low res assets, so like there's a lot of cleanup, and it's just not. I don't know, man. Like if you're gonna do that, then like there's the Lego option, which is rad. Like there's sculpting your own shit, which is also awesome. Like that's cool. I just wouldn't want someone to take like a used candy bar wrapper and then I don't know, just squeeze chocolate into that and hope that it fits the same size. It's just not good, right? So
What
yeah,
an
I
analogy.
mean, like I think probably something that's more kosher is like we put some cool stuff together. Maybe we do like a Kickstarter. Maybe we get some like STLs out to the community as like like gifts for some stuff. Like I think that could be really cool, but just desperately trying to rip the assets and then jamming them into something else and then printing a low res asset. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, you can and like I said, I like that you guys dig it enough to do that. It's just it seems like a lot of bullshit for very low ROI when we're just going to make some really cool stuff to get that out to you guys the right way. We've actually teamed up with like some of the really big like model kit makers in Japan to do some cool stuff in the future. I don't know how long it's going to take. Little bit of a spoiler. We teamed up with some of our OG like favorite Japanese mech artists, and we're really excited to share some of the collaborations that are going to be coming along shortly. So I don't know. I mean that's kind of my take on that. Is like if you're patient, then we can make some really cool stuff for you. That some of which might even be free, or you can rip our shit. I don't know. Like if I have two hands, I know which one I'd be more likely to support. Right.
I've said this before. Like I'm not a huge like collector of things like art books, models, things like that. But I would buy an art book for Forever Winter. Like I would love to read novels about it, graphic novels, and then if there are actual models that are created for it, oh boy. Like I would love to have like a little a little grabber sat on my desk, being a good little boy. Medium mech Gundam pack coming, yes please.
Clip montage when. A bit ago, there was an opportunity for community members to submit their best and funniest death clips. Will there be an actual montage of this, and when can we expect it?
Definitely, yeah. So if anything, maybe like some of the short clips. But yeah, we're definitely thinking of working it into something very, very specific, and just want to make sure we can get it right. But as I mentioned before, it's like small shop, so
An Android
a
grabber.
lot of the same people that would be editing that are also editing the trailer for some of the new content.
Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely it's on our list. We haven't forgotten about it. We're definitely on it. It's just picking the right cadence, right? And then Jason's looking at like doing some tunes for it too. So it's just I don't want it to be half-assed, right? Like I think there's a lot of like really amazing clips in there. My favorite, like I was like, dude, the dopest launch trailer for the game would be the tank flying out of nowhere and like crushing that dude. Like that's fucking biblical in the best sense of the word. So yeah, definitely. Like we haven't forgotten about it. We're on it. And if anything, actually, we might put together a community vote on something that's coming up pretty soon as well that I think people will really dig. But yeah,
I think
How about
the tank coming out of nowhere and killing you. I think that's happened to everybody now. I'm sure that's one of my highlights.
naked runs? Let us go into a run with absolutely nothing. We want to rat around
Wait,
until we spout
is
naked
this-
runs.
Well, that I think people
Is this Evangelist's question? Hang on.
really dig. But yeah, all great.
How about naked runs? Let us go into a run with absolutely nothing. We want to rat around until we swoop in and snatch up and use 2 weapons. Ultimate scav mode. What do you think?
I think it's cool.
It's not exactly like she didn't say who asked that question, but that's kind of what Evangelist asked. I'm pretty sure I did see his question in the Q&A part of the Discord.
Cool. I think 2 things. One, so our system isn't really built right now for you to have nothing in your hands, unfortunately. That being 1, and 2, you get a lot of like the rat runs in Tarkov where it's just like a dude in a t-shirt running around with like a knife from like REI, right? And it's not just it's kind of like imagine if Call of Duty didn't have all of the crossover skins and you could just play with the operators from 2018 or Battlefield 3 with normal looking operators.
Oh,
like,
please!
There's like that feeling you get when you're just like, oh, this is good. This is
Yes.
operating the way it's supposed to be. Like,
Correct.
Like the people around me look like they're here for a reason.
Yes.
It's this thing we like to call immersion, right? And then it dies. So then it's like, yeah,
Why is
I don't
Nicki
know.
Minaj and
I don't know.
Homelander here?
It's a tough one because I love the idea, right? I love the idea, and if we explore more with like some of the ideas that we had around Melee, then like I could see that being really interesting. But at the same time, it's also like you take a fucking sledgehammer to like an Orgamech, like, probably not, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely something we have to explore more. And I do like it. It's just, I mean, that starter AK is pretty terrible. So
Yeah.
it might as well be a hammer. But yeah, I think that could be fun. There would have to be like a reason for it. Like maybe you draw less aggro or
Yeah. That's the
something
thing.
insane, right?
I'd rather do it right too. Exactly like you're
Yeah.
saying. There's a risk reward element to it that I don't know what it is yet, other than just, hey, you're naked, congratulations. It is an interesting idea, I agree. But I'd want to do it right if we approached it. It's got to go on the pile, you know what I mean?
Optimization for older hardware. I have an older rig with lower end hardware to the point that the only part of the game where I can get more than 20 frames per second is in the main menu screen.
Oh dear.
I remember Fundog said that the optimization
Oh,
for
dear.
older PCs is one of their goals, but how much of a priority is that compared to adding new content, game balancing, bug fixes, etc.? I really like the idea of world building within the Forever Winter, and I'm more than happy to buy the game to support the devs. But until it's optimized for lower end hardware, I won't be able to actually play the game.
Well, dude, we really appreciate the support. And yeah, I mean, the team has basically been working insane hours the past 2 months to basically dig into this super heavy. Tom put in a shit ton of time and he's done a ton of improvements to make it run a lot smoother. We had folks going from like 30 to 60 frames, depending on their hardware. So it was definitely very encouraging. And we just did a test with you guys, or a subset of you guys out of the community, and a lot of them are reporting way better results on
Sweet.
the performance side. So I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that it's definitely going to be running smoother. But the only way to know for sure is to just try to rock and roll. And if you can, please send us the hardware specs that you have,
Yeah.
so that we'll do what we can to make sure that like you get that experience. Because it's both awesome and it also breaks my heart, man. Like, because I want you to be able to play the fucking game, the way that a lot of people are playing it. So that's the kicker. So the more work we can do to make sure that happens, the better.
Very good.
And as far as like order of priorities, we really took the past 2 months essentially, like especially after like some of the feedback like in December, like we definitely took a lot of those priorities and we shifted the team onto those to make sure.
I'm
So we
really
actually-
looking forward to this update.
We still
man.
got a bunch of really cool content, headed your way, and we did a lot of fixes and other components as well. But
Yep.
we definitely took a minute to make sure that shit's on point. And like I said,
Just answer like Todd Howard. It's the next gen game. You'll need next gen hardware. Oh my god. No, they're if anything, they are in danger of falling into Peter Molyneux territory and promising the world and giving you shit. But no, I'm sure that's not the case at all. I'm very excited.
That it's not an absolute, like, it's not a perfect science. We improve by the week, but we definitely took a lot of time to make sure you're set. So I hope that it's at the very least better this time.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind on a perf is for where we are right now, there generally aren't like silver bullets of massive gains. It's 1,000 little improvements that have a really good cumulative effect. And sometimes they're on the GPU, sometimes they're on the CPU, meaning sometimes it's graphics and sometimes it's math for the game thread. So every tiny thing, man, I feel for engineers, because like you'll do one thing that took a lot of low-level engineering to improve, and then you'll look at the slice, the time slice, and you're like, that barely moved the needle. But when you do that 1,000 times over 1,000 different things, it's much better. So it's slow and steady wins the race there.
Slow and painful, I suppose.
Yeah. It's I almost said it's a thankless job, but no, I thank them immensely. It's hard work, and it's not just the engineers, it's the artists, it's everybody.
Very true,
It's one foot in front of the other.
Exactly.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I'm excited, especially since they're saying there should be an update within the next few days. Let me just check if there's been anything else said on the Discord. Make sure you keep your eye out for some very, all caps, exciting news soon. I am very much looking forward to seeing what they come up with.